about this? Julio Jones today on Fox Sports 1 said, I'm out of here. When asked about his future with the Atlanta Falcons, it's pretty crystal clear. Not only is Julio gone, Julio wants out. Shannon Sharpe did an excellent job asking the probing question to Julio Jones, who didn't hesitate to give a take that would make news. Ian Rappaport from the NFL Network added to the conversation, saying that, yes, absolutely, Julio Jones has requested a trade. Mike Girardi from the NFL Network has reported over the weekend that the Patriots have shown major interest, and why not when you take a look at their wide receiver depth chart? And there's a lot to get into here. First and foremost, I would never trade Julio if I'm the Atlanta Falcons. I would try to win as many games as possible with him. We've said that forever. Next sentence, he's gone. And we've said this consistently. And I believe when the calendar shifts to June 1st next week, Julio Jones will be an ex-Atlanta Falcon. I think he will be traded. I think the Patriots make sense. I think the Tennessee Titans. Those are the two teams that make the most sense. Kyle Shanahan and the Niners. Kyle was obviously with him in Atlanta a few years ago. That makes sense as well. We'll see if a team like Baltimore or Indianapolis gets involved, but I would rank it Tennessee, New England, and then I would go San Francisco as my top three. Because remember, you're not giving up a major draft pick for a ball player who's aging, even though he's a future Hall of Famer, who's making a ton of money. So we'll see what the Falcons could get in terms of compensation. Will it be another player? Will they even get a second or a third round draft pick? It's about what team is willing to cut that check for Julio Jones, his contract, his salary for this upcoming season. By the way, the Atlanta Falcons official Twitter feed tweeted out the conversation that our guy Shannon Sharpe had with Julio Jones on Undisputed earlier today. The Falcons! And I understand and appreciate what they're doing here, because basically they're telling Falcons fans and people like me, hey, Julio wanted out, so we're going to trade him. And that kind of mutes the anger and frustration when the inevitable happens and the Atlanta Falcons do trade Julio Jones. He wants out in the worst possible way. He will never play another down for Atlanta again. New England makes all the sense in the world. So do the Tennessee Titans, in my opinion. Anthony Davis is right, obviously. The Lakers' loss is on him. But there's something else that's worthy of major discussion. The Suns are a great basketball team. Not good, great. And if AD doesn't bring it, the Lakers are cooked. Now, history says he will. But yesterday was the single worst playoff game of AD's brilliant career. 13 points, the fewest he's ever scored in the postseason. A pathetic 31% from the field, also the worst. And a 5 measly field goal, second lowest ever for AD in the playoffs, is Anthony Davis. He's a force down low and shooting the rock. And most especially credit to Phoenix. DeAndre Ayton is terrific. He was superb against Davis. And again, that's not a fluke. It's the former number one overall pick who has played really well. And Devin Booker was the best player on the floor in a game that featured LeBron and AD. Booker was on fire. And I'm so happy for him. In his first ever playoff game, he's a star. He's been a star. Might get overlooked because he's in Phoenix, but this is expected. Always from Devin Booker. And listen, at the end of the day, you have to imagine that the Suns are going to keep playing great. You expect them to play great with Chris Paul. You expect them to play great with Booker. You expect them to play great with Ayton, Monty Williams, superb coach. And I said Lakers in 7, and I said Phoenix would win game 1. So in that regard, it's not a surprise. But in watching the entire game, I was truly stunned just how awful and pathetic AD was. Lakers were never in it. They can't just turn it on because the Suns are too good. Turning it on automatically, turning the proverbial switch, that's not how this is going to work. Davis needs to be his monster self tomorrow night, or the Suns will shoot the Lakers' title hopes to the moon. And then there's Trae Young, who silenced 15,000 rabid, foaming at the mouth Knicks fans all at once. And if you don't believe me, ask him. Young stole the Knicks' soul at Madison Square Garden yesterday, taking Game 1 in the first Knicks playoff game in 8 years. How about Trae Young? Blew past Frank Ntilikina. And I disagree with Tom Thibodeau putting Ntilikina in the ballgame ice cold for final possession. Young was piping hot and, oh my goodness, dropped this one in to bust up a 105-105 tie for the dagger. Reggie Miller asking his first ever playoff game, ranging from the genius in terms of execution all game, when it mattered the most, and going at it with New York fans, shushing them after that aforementioned shot, saying they were as quiet as a church mouse. Except he didn't say church mouse. Young was exceptional. Julius Randle, anything but. This is the worst game I've seen from my guy Julius Randle this year. 6 of 23. Not engaged at all. Awful shot selection. It was odd. It was terrible. Now, I still believe Randle's going to step up in the next game, and this series isn't over, and I still think the Knicks will win it, but the Knicks can't win without Randle playing at an MVP caliber level. Alec Burks pumping in 27 was great. Same with Derrick Rose's 17, including a runner in the lane late to tie it at 105. I'd like to see Emmanuel quickly replace Payton in the starting lineup, but it all comes back to Randle. Sure, Bogdanovich, Lou Williams of all people, Capella, they were greats, and this Atlanta team is worthy. That's a great, well-coached team. But this was really a tale of the two stars. Trae Young was an assassin. Julius Randle was invisible. Young played off the road crowd better than Randle did the home fans. That needs to change for Game 2.